Hello and welcome to another Nickjitsu video. Today I'm going to be looking at Live and Let Die, which is the theme tune to the 8th James Bond movie, Live and Let Die, which was the first Roger Moore movie. So we're going to be going from the original Wings version of this, and I'm going to show you how to tackle the piano part on the guitar, etc, etc. It was the first Bond movie I ever saw, and we would have gone to the cinema, but it was too far away to walk, and I didn't have a car at the time. And also it was 1973 and I looked like this. Yep, I'm still just as cute. Live and Let Die was written by Paul McCartney, with a little reggae bit written by his wife Linda McCartney, and it was orchestrated by the fantastic George Martin. Allegedly, when they finished the track, they took it out, George Martin flew it out to the Caribbean for Cubby Broccoli and his team to listen to. And they went, yeah, great, fantastic. Who are we going to get to sing it? They assumed it was just a demo. So what you hear, the original Wings version, they assumed was just a demo. And they thought that somebody else was going to sing it. Probably Shirley Bassey. There's actually some great musical moments in the movie. Like at the very beginning, there's a bunch of diplomats in a room, and you see a guy with headphones on, and you see his reaction to the latest Cliff Richard and Yoko Ono Christmas single. I'll give you the guitar part first, and then I'll do all the orchestration with the MIDI and show you how that works. So let's go through the introduction. And the chords are G, B minor, C, and then D7, and then D7 flat 9. Like that. The way that I'm playing it, I'm splitting it up between the bottom string on each chord, and I'm playing the triad G, B and D, like that. And again, it's that Thunderbirds approach that I used on a video. It was the Don't Stop Believing video. The do 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 do. So you're playing the G, you're playing the bottom G there, and you're playing the G triad here. And on the B minor you're doing the same thing. I'm playing the B at the bottom, and I'm playing the same 3 strings that I did with the G triad. Like that. On piano you tend to kind of voice everything really close, so why not do the same on guitar? G, B minor. Same on the C, I've got the C on the bottom, and then I've got the C triad, which is the G, C and E right there. And when it gets to the D7, I'm not going to elect to play this one, the standard one, because it's a bit too bright and happy. We'll go for that one. So that's got the D on the bottom, F sharp, the C, which is the dominant 7th there, and then a D octave right on the B string. And that D octave on the B string, that's going to become the flat 9, because the flat 9 of D is E flat, so upper fret, and then back to G. Now he does that 3 times, and then on the last time, we go to an A7 like that, and just the standard A7. I'm playing the A on the bottom, and again the triad, but from the dominant 7th, the G, C sharp, and E on the top, like that. Even though I've got that down, it's just through habit, and it means that if you do play the wrong string, you're still playing the right chord. So it's a good idea sometimes to have the full chord down. And what you can do is you can pick up on that melody note. Da 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 da. Because when he plays the D, goes up to a D next, you've got D, and then the kind of upper triad here, you've got the A, D, F sharp. You can play this little figure, F sharp, G, and A on the top, back to D on the G string. Like that. And then you get the... So I'm playing a B flat on the D string, and then I'm playing D, E and F. like that. You can also see that I'm playing the first two notes, the B flat and the D, together, and then I'm letting the B flat ring while I play the E and the, what's that, the E and the F. And then we're into the big explosion bit. What happens there is you're playing a G up to a C, but you're keeping that G in the bottom. So it's C over G, it's the second chord. And then this chord here, I'd think of that as a D flat diminished. But you keep the G at the bottom. So what's actually happening is on the piano, Paul McCartney is keeping that G thumping away and then changing the chords over the top. So the triads change like this. Like that. But when you do that on guitar, it doesn't quite sound meaty enough. So you keep the G on the bottom, G, C, the D diminished, D flat diminished over G, back to the G. Do it twice. And then we're on to the exciting bit. Kind of based on a G minor-y type thing, G minor scale. And what you're going to play is you're going to play G, A, B flat, and then you're going to switch to the G string, and you're going to play D, E and F, and then you're going to play B flat C. No, you're not. You're going to play C, B flat. It's been one of those days today. So and you do that twice. And then what you do, the way that I play this bit, is that there's a load of descending strings, and it's kind of like a sliding path. You can simulate that by playing a diminished chord. Now I'm playing a diminished, which is just A, E flat, G flat, and C. Like that. Now you can either use a whammy bar, like that. Because I'm playing MIDI guitar, what I do is I use a tremolo technique from Flamenco Guitar. Like that. Now to do this technique, what you do is you have to practice it, obviously. And it's made up of a thing called a rasgueado, which I learned from my flamenco days. And basically you make a fist in front of the guitar, and then you throw your pinky out, and then you throw your third finger out, and then you throw your second finger out, and then your first finger, like that. And you can only really do it when you can say rasgueado, like that. You might have to have several bottles of Old Jock to be able to do it, but there you go. This is my beer of the evening. Once you can do the rasgueado, like that, when your first finger, your pokey finger, goes out over the strings, that's when your pinky comes back. So you can see you're kind of swapping over like that. And then, so I'm playing an A diminished when I do that, and then I play an E diminished, and then do exactly the same thing. Just slide down as I'm doing this tremolo with my right hand. We're on to one of the orchestrated bits by George Martin. When I played this in a James Bond tribute band called Cue the Music, we just the guitar part was just octaves, and it was relatively simple. The way I orchestrate that part is slightly different because I'm playing the full orchestra. What I'm doing is I'm playing a B flat on the A string and a B flat on the G string. So I'm playing a D on the D string and an F sharp on the top E. And then I'm going up to an E on the D string and then a G sharp on the top string. And then down to a C on the D string. And then an E on the top string. And then back to the D and the F sharp. So when you put that together, you do that 3 times. The third time, you've got this little figure. I just play it in fourths, like that. So I'm playing E and A, and then I'm playing F and B flat, and then I'm playing G and C. And then the second time I play that, I'm playing E, A, and E on the top, and then I'm playing F on the G, B flat on the B string, and then F again, the octave on the E string, and then going up a tone, G, C, G, and then going up another tone. So I'm playing A, D, and A again on the top string. So when you put that together, you get a small sound of the dyad, and then you get the bigger sound adding the octave at the top. So it doesn't sound like much, but when you start adding notes to a chord like that, it's a good orchestration trick because it makes it sound just a little bit bigger and a little bit fatter, and like it's actually going somewhere. The next bit, the reggae bit, this was written by Linda McCartney, who I always thought when I was younger, she was the one that invented vegetarian food. And I prepared for this by having a vegetarian meal tonight. And I quite like vegetarian food. Good vegetarian food just happens to be food that doesn't have meat in it. You don't notice the fact there's no meat there. In fact, I really like potatoes and turnips, especially when it's with haggis. The chords for the reggae bit are quite easy. It's basically C, just a standard C bar chord. So you're playing a C, G, C, E, G, and then C, like that. So the root note's on the E string, and then root note on the E string again for the G, where you're playing the G, D, G, B, D, G, like that. And then we're all the way up to D with the root note on the A string. So we got D, A, D, F sharp, and A. And then E minor, again root note on the A string. So we've got E, B, E, G, B. And then it finishes off with an F. So F is F, C, F, A, C at the top. And then you frantically strum it like that, because I'm playing Rhodes piano at that point. Like that. I'm playing everything with my fingers. So if you know your fingers in classical guitar, you've got P, I, M, A, and C or E. I can never remember the last one. You have a P on the E string, and then you have your I on the D string, you have your M on the G string, and then you have your A on the B string, like that. And that's the way I do it. When I get to the G, what I'm doing is I'm putting my pinky down over the C and the E notes, because it sounds like he almost plays a mistake, but it's not. It's just a suspension. Ba ba da, like that. And then when he goes up to the D, and then up to the E minor, by the time I hit the F, I start squeezing the notes harder and harder and building up while I'm changing everything with my feet. This is the bit where I panic because sometimes I hit the wrong pedal and I end up on the next song and I've got the wrong sound, like, you know, some kind of weird arpeggiator or something like that. After that we have another quick where we play that twice, and I've got to come in with what should be the cello part. Which is kind of like reiterating the theme. Unfortunately, it's really difficult to play the cello part and play the piano and play the guitar part and do all that at the same time. So what I've elected to do at that point is to just play the melody on piano with strings in the background. So what you get is, it goes back to the same chords as the intro, the G, B minor, C, and then the D7 and the D7 flat 9. But what I'm doing is I'm picking out the melody at the same time. So it sounds like this. I'm playing G on the D string, B on the G string, D on the B string, E on the B string, F sharp on the E string, back to E on the B string, and then D on the B string. Now come back to C on the G string, back to B on the G string, back to C, and then I've got an A with my pinky on the D string. So I've simplified it, but it should sound like this when you put the whole thing together. So you can see all I'm doing with this hand is I'm just accenting different notes in the chord. I'm going from the D, G and B strings, I'm just going up a string and playing the G, B and E strings. Say, and it's the same. I'm hitting the same strings again, although I did that with my pinky last time. And then Live and Let Live is basically the B string and the G string, but you're already playing the notes of D and B right here. Live, that's when you hit the C, and then hopefully the audience will go, you know you did, you know you did, you know you did. But they do it in so many different tunings. It's quite interesting sometimes how many tunings the average person can come up with and how many original notes. I think a lot of them are tuned to 432 Hz. I think that's the problem. And then you're back to the D7. You're back to the D7 and then the D7 flat 9. Don't play this chord. I'll tell you where you use that chord. But a little bit of fun trivia for you about this movie. The guy that owned the alligator farm was a guy called Kananga, and that's where they got the name for Dr. Kananga, the baddie that's in the movie. And the guy that owned it, he became a crocodile farmer because he saw his dad getting eaten alive by crocodiles, and he thought, yeah, that's the job for me. That's where you use that chord. So the rest of that's pretty much the same apart from the wee melody that you stick in at the beginning. When you do the explosions bit, or what I think of as the explosion bit, you go back to that. I've got my overdrive back on again. And we're going through the G, the C, and the D flat diminished over G. Then we're back to this again. Now you play that bit twice, and then I then go up and do that in octaves, an octave up. So what I'm doing is I'm playing G on the G string and G on the E, going up to A on the A string, A on the E, and then B flat and B flat. And then all I'm doing is I'm literally going a string down, and on the D string playing a D, on the B string playing a D, same two strings each time, so I'm playing D, and then going up to an E, and then an F. And then the last one, I'm on the A string and the G string. On the A string I'm playing a C, G string I'm playing a C, and then going down a tone to B flat. You've got and you do it again. Now, the last time you do it, you hit the C octave, and then I play a E flat minor chord. So E flat minor is at the 11th fret of the E string, and you're going to play E flat, B flat, E flat, G flat, B flat, and E flat again. So as far as the MIDI part goes, it's pretty much the same way I play the guitar part, except I've got to be extra careful that I don't trigger any false notes. And part of my little armory of little gadgets is these little string dampeners that are made by V or somebody like that. I can never remember who makes them, but they're essential for playing MIDI guitar. A lot of the notes that trigger, the false notes that trigger, are when you take your finger off. And I've said this in other videos, everybody's obsessed by the speed of things, but they're not obsessed by how clean they actually play when you take your fingers off. So it's quite important to have one of these on. And it's also the reason that I play fingerstyle for this song. It gives me a lot more control And as I'm playing mainly piano or strings, it gives me complete control to hit exactly the right note. Whereas if I was strumming it, especially on, you know, later on when you're doing that, it's kind of all over the shop. So it's easier like that. It's easier just to trigger the notes. So when I play the very beginning, I'm playing just a stock piano, stock Steinway. And I've got it set so I've got a piano at the top, and I've got another one down below that's an octave lower, but it's only playing just the bottom octave. So it sounds like somebody playing with the thumb and the pinky, playing an octave on piano. So I get that kind of sound. Ding, 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 ding. Again, the Thunderbird's approach. I've also got the Spitfire Strings Originals strings, just a legato patch, just to beef up the sound a little bit and kind of make it a little bit more like the original. So when the fireworks come in, like that, I've got a piano in there, I've got strings, I've got brass. I think the xylophone kicks in at that point. Xylophone. Oh, and I'm playing guitar at the same time, yeah. That's it. And the same when it gets to this bit, it's the same sound. So when we get to this bit, the kind of strings falling bit, what I do is I hold the orchestra with a sostenuto pedal. So they're going, and then it means that the guitar takes on the role of the strings and does all the falling parts. You do the same on the E diminished. And then it's the same again. Like that. And you hear the way the brass is going, and then it's very dynamic the way it comes in like that. Then we're on to the reggae bit. The reggae bit, I'm just playing a Rhodes piano. I think that's it on its own. Then we're back to overdrive guitar and the full orchestra. So when we get to the little melodic section that's got the cello in it, I just go back to the original sound that I had. So I've got the piano and the originals strings from Spitfire. So on to the last little bit, we do the... So when people hear this tune, they're always asking me about how I get this bit. How did I do that? The way I do that is by a little bit of sonic trickery and a wee bit of delay. So I put a quaver delay on there, I think. So what it does, it gives the illusion of somebody doing the flute part. No, you wouldn't play a flute with that hand actually, it'd fall out your mouth. Now the other little tip I'll give you is that when you play the octaves, squeeze the notes together with the right hand, rather than plucking them out like that, so that you can keep your wrist on the bridge and you can hit the note, you can hit the same strings each time the same way with the same velocity. That's quite important. The other thing is that with MIDI guitar you can't do this, because you get this kind of bloop, this kind of like bunch of notes in the middle, in between the two strings, when I slide between the strings. So what you've got to do is you've got to play the note, relax your fingers, play the next note, relax your fingers, and play the next note, and relax your fingers. But each time, in between each note, I'm coming back and dampening the strings with my fingers again, so that you get a nice clean kind of sound. Takes a bit of practice to do, but it means that everything's nice and clean and you don't get any extraneous notes coming out. It's the same with chords when you're changing chords. As I move chords down, as I move from the C in the reggae bit, I've got my fingers on the strings like that as the chord moves. So it's just another little tip to use when you're playing MIDI guitar. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. And there's quite a lot of versions of Live and Let Die out there. There's the Guns N' Roses version, there's various Wings versions, and don't forget to go and check out Cue the Music, who are the best Bond band you'll ever see. They do all the Bond movie theme tunes, and they're all fantastic musicians, and it's just a top class band basically. I'll put a link in the video down below. They do a fantastic version of it, and if you listen to the brass right at the end, that's what I wish I could do on the guitar. And I will work it out, maybe when I buy a more powerful computer and grow more fingers and feet, I'll be able to do that. So thank you very much. Don't forget my album Hyperreal's out. You can get that on Bandcamp. There'll be a description and a link below. Do the like, subscribe, and all the doodah with the thing and the bell and the what's-its. And from me, and good old Jock is the beer that I've been drinking today. It definitely helps with the orchestration, and but it's quite a strong beer, so you can only have one or two. Sludge your back. Live and let die. Sounds right. Yeah. I'll do the Yoko Ono version next, I think.